And these are the most successful people. These are al-mu'minun, the successful people in life that everybody's searching for. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَانُوا قَلِيلًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ مَا يَهْجَعُونَ, that they only used to sleep a little bit of the night. قَلِيلًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ مَا يَهْجَعُونَ. And يَهْجَعُونَ, it doesn't mean يَنَامُون, it means like that they would rest. They would just lie down. Only a little portion of the night, but this was their time, these effective people using the night to increase their minds. Okay, enlivening the sunnah. Enlivening the sunnah, this is a section in relation to sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ that have been widely forgotten by our communities. Sunnah, or enliven sunnah number one. And inshaAllah ta'ala, I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala writes all of us, all of those who helped to prepare this lecture, all of those who came to listen, and inshaAllah ta'ala, all of you who will hear these sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ and enliven it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala write all of us as those who share in the reward of anyone that follows this enlivened sunnah. Ameen. Number one. When was the last time you prayed Isha and then you went directly to sleep? You stopped talking. You actually told someone, they were like, they wanted to talk to you. You said, no, I just prayed Isha and I'm going to sleep. You might have been exhausted one day, you may have done it, but you may not have known that it's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that the day ends at Isha. At Salatul Isha, the person prays and they do not talk after Isha. They do not indulge, they don't even check their email after Isha. They pray to Isha and they go to sleep. And subhanAllah, I was talking about like our environment, and I didn't mention that, but the email, they said the number one most distracting thing that keeps people awake at night is the internet. And we're entering a new phase of technology, and so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. The Prophet ﷺ kana yakra. He used to dislike sleeping before Isha. So a person shouldn't say, I'm going to go to sleep and then I'm going to wake up and I'm going to pray Isha. No. If you're feeling tired, wait till Isha, pray Isha, and then go to sleep. That's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And وَكَانَ يَكْرَهُ الْكَلَامَ بَعْدَ. And the Prophet ﷺ used to dislike for people to talk after Isha. Meaning that if Isha was prayed, they would go to sleep. And they would not continue in their day because they have Qiyam Every to deal with. They have Salatul Fajr to deal with, and they also have their business which starts from 6 or 6:30 in the morning from Salatul Fajr onwards, the daylight hours, that they're going to be taking advantage and beating all those people that wake up at 9:30 and 10 o'clock in the morning. They're going to beat them in business, and by the time this guy wakes up, you would have sold, inshallah, your first $1,000 for the day. Secondly, in the path of a person, second sunnah of enlivening the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is Qiyam Layl. But there's an angle to this, because a lot of people, they go to seminars, they want to know, how can I improve myself? Or they'll go to sheikhs, how can I improve myself? How can I work on myself? And so on. And so there's a very beautiful hadith of one of the companions, Abdullah, radiallahu anhu, where he would say that everybody would go to the Prophet ﷺ and say their dreams to the Prophet ﷺ. He was a young boy. And then he wished that he could see like an interesting dream at night so that he could go and tell the Prophet ﷺ. This is his desire. So he could speak and say, Ya Rasulullah, I had a dream too. They used to explain their dreams to the Prophet ﷺ. And so he had a dream. I won't explain the dream. You can look it up, inshallah. It is a very interesting dream. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, Abdullah rajulun salih. He was actually young. Abdullah is a righteous man. لو كان يقوم الليل. The Prophet ﷺ, he said he's a righteous man. Oh, how I wish if only he used to get up for Qiyam Every. He's a righteous man, but if only he had this characteristic. So what do you think Abdullah did after that? What do you think he did? Till the day he died, he never missed Qiyam Every. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that. And so as a way to improve himself, he said he is a righteous man if only he got up for Qiyam Every. Meaning that if you want to improve yourself, okay, maybe you're coming to masjid, okay, you're doing stuff, and you want to go to the next level and coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you enliven the sunnah of Qiyam Every. And one of the recurring things that I've seen, subhanAllah, about people, these beautiful stories, when someone dies, maybe someone sees them in their dream, and this actually happened. Sheikh Ali al-Qarni, a very famous speaker in the Arab world, someone came to me and he said, I wanted you to tell this. He said, I want to tell you this story so that you can tell other people after, so that perhaps they would benefit from the story. And I've actually heard similar stories with many different people similar to this. He said that when my brother died, his brother died at a very young age. Like in his 20s he died. This person who's narrating to Sheikh al-Qarni. He said, when my brother died, he said, I saw my brother in a dream. And his brother was in paradise, talking to him about how he was successful in attaining paradise. And he said, Wallahi, out of this entire dunya and everything in it, the absolute most precious thing that saved me on this, in the hereafter, in this moment, was the fact that I used to get up for Qiyam Every. And then he says that, he told this to the Shaykh so that the Shaykh could tell it to other people, that people who are looking for success, that their success is in that Qiyam Every. Because if someone's praying Qiyam Every, there's no possible way that they will miss Fajr. There's no possible way that they'll miss the other salawat, the 5 fard, because the person is getting up at a time when everybody else is sleeping. He's getting up voluntarily. And if you've ever been to al-Maghrib class, and I've had this theory of apples versus donuts, I'm not going to explain it, but basically it's that a human will always choose the donuts. And I put a little amendment to that theory. Because if you're given a choice between, if I gave you, for example, snacks during this lecture, I said, here's some apples, here's some donuts, which one would you take? Your Dunkin' Donuts, and you have these nice red apples. Maybe they're not sunnah. What when you take, everybody would, they just attack the donuts. And so sleeping or not sleeping, sleeping is the donuts, waking up at a time that's voluntary is an apple. No human actually does that, illa al-muttaqeen. Except the muttaqeen, the people that are going to the next level, who know the importance of that apple of waking up, and then it builds in them health, in their body and in their spirit, in their understanding of the Qur'an that other people don't have. The next enlivening of sunnah is the fact that the Prophet ﷺ used to fluctuate the time of Isha. He did not pray at the same time every single day. Now we have a kind of like a system. I know people have to come for Isha and then they pray and they have to go home. It's like, hurry up. Now I know it's 9:30. Isha time's coming here now. And someone's going to come in and say, come on, it's Isha time. And they don't know that the Prophet ﷺ used to fluctuate the time of Isha. Sometimes he would pray it early and sometimes he would pray it later. Depending on the companions, if they've all gathered, he would pray Isha early. If they hadn't gathered, they would be in the masjid and they would gather together, and it might take some time and then they would pray. And I've never seen this practice anywhere in the world, except in one masjid in Australia. And the reason it sticks in my mind is because I'm like, did you guys pray Isha? And they were like, they don't even know when Isha time is. They're just hanging around the masjid, waiting for the imam to come to lead them in salah. And so there was no time, so I said, should I pray myself? We prayed and so on. And when the imam came, and it's just like arbitrary, when the imam is ready to come, he comes. It's not like 9:30, where's this imam that keeps coming in late? No, when the imam came, he gave like a half an hour or whenever later, he said, Aqim as-salat fulan, and he said the iqamah, and then they prayed Isha. But they are trained to do that. That their connection is with the masjid. It's not that it's part of their daily, go to masjid, go home. They're in the masjid, they live there, those brothers. They bring their studies, they live in the masjid, they don't have to run home for something. This is their life, Isha, and then they go home and sleeping. Fluctuating. Also, the enlivening of the sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ, many of you might use miswak, or at least you know the sunnah of using miswak before salah. The Prophet ﷺ said, لَوْلَا أَنَ أَشُقَّ عَلَىٰ أُمَّتِي. If it wasn't for the burden of place on my ummah, I would have commanded them to use miswak at the time of each salah. Another hadith, which is the same wording, basically, the Prophet ﷺ said, if it wasn't for the burden I would place on my ummah, I would have made Salatul Isha in the middle of the night. Meaning that you would become, the middle of the night, it's about 12:30 right now. The middle of the night, you calculate it by, from the time of Maghrib to the time of Fajr divided by 2. That's the middle of the night. Right now it's at about 12:30 a.m. That's when Isha would. And the Prophet ﷺ said he would have wished to do this, but it would have been a burden on the ummah. But that's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He would delay Isha